nor interact with those responsible for the planning of the funeral. We only received a call from Dr. Hlophe stating that he was told to communicate that we shouldn't interfere with the funeral preparations, and this left us baffled, as we stated that we're never party to any planning of the funeral preparations of Comrade Moses' funeral. Instead, we received, in this case Comrade Dudu received, a call that came through from the head of communications, Mr. Tjirha, stating that we needed to find out if the Deputy President had called us, because he had received a call from the national spokesperson, Sfiso Mahlangu, to inform us that we should not attend the funeral or the memorial, and that if we were to be attending any of those, would be removed violently. Now, we have members of the family, in this case his life partner sitting next to Dudu, who is Ayanda Maseko. We have his sister, Moses' sister, on the left, and then we have, Dudu Zuma. But the reason I wanted to highlight that is because the family is going to further expatiate on exactly what transpired. The exploitation of Comrade Moses' passing. We are deeply disturbed by the attempts to use the strategic passing, tragic passing, of our friend and Comrade Muzi, as a justification for Comrade Dudu and I's purported expulsion. The narrative advanced by certain individuals is both false and offensive. The facts are straightforward. During the period of serious illness, Comrade Muzi personally contacted us seeking assistance. As his friends and comrades, we responded to this request on a phone call that we should assist him and his life partner, Ayanda Maseko, in facilitating her transfer to the medical facility better and better equipped to manage his condition. He was then transferred to Senton Mediclinic. He did so because he trusted us and because he knows we care about his well-being. If we had acted against his interests, one must ask why would he have called us for assistance in the first place? It is particularly troubling that some of those now making those allegations never even visited Muzi in hospital in the first place. It is particularly troubling that some of those now making those allegations never even during his illness, not let's say even at the point of his memorial, attended the funeral service or his memorial service. Yet they seek to weaponize his passing in pursuit of internal political objectives. We reject these allegations with the strongest possible terms and extend our deepest respect for Muzi's family, friends, and comrades who know the truth of what transpired. As Africans, especially leadership of a people's movement like Umkhonto we Sizwe Party, we should know better and respect a mourning process of a fellow comrade. The people did not vote for internal conflict. The people voted for economic liberation, land justice, dignity, jobs, service delivery, transformation. They did not vote for factional battles. They did not vote for internal purges. They voted for liberation, not liquidation. This sets a dangerous precedent. Today it's the founding members. Tomorrow it may be the branch leaders. The next day it may be the councillors. Then the ordinary members. If constitutional protections can be ignored for founders of the movement, what protection remains for the ordinary members? This is why this matter affects every single MK member. The MKP was founded on indigenous African legal principles that prioritize cohesion, restorative justice, alternate dispute resolution, and internal processes rooted in umuntu. Umuntu ngabantu. Therefore, before any public pronouncements. Least of all to the media or perceived enemies of the party. Freedom of expression cannot and should not be stymied in genuine liberation movement. It is the lifeblood of a democratic participation and honest discourse within the organization. It is deeply regrettable that the third largest party in South Africa is represented by a Secretary General who uses such vacuous and procedurally flawed statements in the media, therefore being an act that has brought in itself the party into disrepute and damaging the brand of the party. In effect, we were expelled on unfounded allegations, rumor mongering, and hearsay. Let's also state on record that Comrade Dudu was not removed from Parliament. That's a lie. That is just nothing else but a showboating lie. She resigned on her own volition. This reflects poorly on the party's governance and stability. Instead of making vacuous statements, he and his comrades should be focusing on winning the looming local government elections. A case in point is that there's not even a single poster of MK Party with messaging on elections. But yet, all you see them doing is focusing on purging. Now, there are attempts to hijack the MK Party. The current developments cannot be viewed in isolation. Since the formation of MK Party, there have been several attempts by individuals and factions to capture, manipulate, and ultimately hijack the organization for personal and political gain. As an example, during the 2024 national government elections, serious concerns arose regarding the handling of the party's parliamentary list. Information emerged indicating that processes entrusted to certain leaders had been manipulated and that those names that appeared on those lists were not without proper consultation and authorization by the president. Again, that was an attempt to hijack the party, and in effect, our list was hijacked. When these concerns came to light, interventions were made to protect the integrity of the party and the electoral processes. Among other actions, criminal complaints were opened and urgent corrective measures were pursued. This was not an isolated incident. On numerous occasions, Comrade Dudu, Comrade Muzi, and myself intervened in these situations to protect the party from individuals seeking to exploit the president for their own benefit. We are concerned that similar efforts are now underway in relation to the preparation of the upcoming local government elections. There appears to be an emerging attempt to manipulate the candidate selection process and municipal lists in a manner that excludes the participation of the voice of the ordinary people and the members of the community at large. That includes even attempting to sideline the president and his wishes in terms of how that process should be ensued. It is our considered view that the real reason behind the campaign against us is that we have consistently resisted efforts to undermine the founding vision and integrity of the MK Party. And that is a fact. Much has been said about us allegedly damaging the party. We reject this narrative completely. We have been silent for too long. We will no longer continue to be silent. This has to come to an end. The weaponization of the Nhlamulo and Dudu agenda must come to an end. We believe, and why we believe, the purported expulsions are unlawful. We'll be writing to the Secretary General requesting which sections of the Constitution and which sections of the Constitution were invoked to expel us. Pending that letter of response or not, we will be instructing our lawyers to approach the High Court on an urgent basis to challenge the purported expulsions. The MK Party Constitution and Disciplinary Code establish specific disciplinary structures and procedures that must be followed before any member may lawfully be suspended, disciplined, or expelled. These structures include the National Disciplinary Committee, a National Disciplinary Committee of Appeals, and a National Prosecutor. Remember, we never underwent a national disciplinary process, so we can't even appeal something that has not been defined of a procedural outcome, because this has been unprocedural. These safeguards exist to protect members and from arbitrary, selective, or politically motivated action. We are advised and contend that none of these mandatory procedures were followed in our case. No properly constituted disciplinary hearing was convened. No lawful disciplinary inquiry was conducted. No findings were made by any structure empowered by the Constitution to do so. Instead, our alleged expulsions are announced publicly through media briefings. A member cannot lawfully be removed from an organization in this manner. Any decision taken outside of the procedures prescribed by the Constitution is, in our respectful submission, unlawful, invalid, and of no force or effect. We have already placed these objections on record, disputing the authority under which proceedings against us were initiated. Recording, and we've also stated, the conduct and complaint that this conduct cannot be allowed to unfold the way it is. The reservation of our rights. We reserve all our rights, including the right to seek a review and setting aside of the purported expulsions and any related decisions arising therefrom. We further reserve the right to institute legal proceedings for defamation and any other appropriate relief in respect to the statements published about us that are false, unsubstantiated, and damaging to our reputations, dignity, and standing. Nothing contained in this statement should be interpreted as a waiver of any rights available to us in the law. In conclusion, we remain committed to the principles of constitutionalism, legality, fairness, and internal democracy. Our dispute is not with the members of the party, the president, nor the millions of South Africans who placed their trust in the movement. Our concern is with the actions by these national officials that we believe threaten the integrity of the organization and undermine the constitutional processes that govern it.